Good morning, good morning. My name's Anthony Tavianini, and I want to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Sacramento. Let's all rise and sing about the power of our lives. Hold on, we got the wrong slide. Could you back up, Abby? There we go. Give us the intro, Marina. Here we go.
Good morning. Welcome to our service. Whether you are with us on Zoom or here in person, we are so glad that you are here. I am Jenny Quine, serving as your worship associate today, and our preacher today is actually Reverend Lucy Bunch, not Anthony. Reverend Dr. Roger Jones is at family camp along with about 100 others in our community. Today's service is titled The Wisdom of the Crone, and we will hear from 4 members of our own Crone Connection. We are also happy to have special music by our guest flautist, Don Walker. If you are with us online, you can find a copy of today's order of service on our website through a link in the chat on Zoom. The blue sheet, our weekly calendar of activities, is also online as well as on paper. Our congregation's mission statement says, "We come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world." And we invite you to explore the ways we live out this mission. Our monthly newsletter and Friday message about the upcoming weekend come out by email, so please fill out a newcomer's form, either by the link to our website or at the welcome table after the service so that we can connect with you. And again, we are glad you are with us today. Next week after the service is our monthly newcomers orientation with a tour of the campus. It starts about 10 minutes after the conclusion of the service and lasts about an hour. Also next week after the service, UU musician extraordinaire Jim Scott will give a concert at 2 p.m. here in the sanctuary. Composer, guitarist, and singer Jim brings a warmth and humor with his jazz and world music influenced style. His songs are in our UU hymn books, such as Gather the Spirit, and he is co-chair of the UU Ministry for the Earth, where he helped develop the Green Sanctuary program. He's visited over 700 UU churches, leading services and performing concerts. We invite you to attend this concert that is open to all, and you can find flyers on the back table. Registration is now open for our new church year of Soul Matters groups. Soul Matters groups meet twice a month, September through May, to build connections and provide a place to share and discuss what matters most. Group activities are structured around monthly themes that are also used in worship and religious education. Groups will begin in the 4th week of September, and registration closes September 2nd. Please register online at the UUSS website or at the table on the patio after today's service. After the service, if you are on Zoom, we have 20 minutes for you to get acquainted. Here on campus, you can check out the connections table in the welcome hall and enjoy refreshments and conversation on the patio. Now let's take a minute to check our cell phones and alarms to make sure they are silent. Again, welcome.
Our chalice lighter this morning is Meg Gunderson. Come on up, Meg. Oh, Meg Burnett. Thank you, Meg. I got the wrong. I was improperly informed, but now we're on track. Thank you, Meg. Meg Burnett is our chalice lighter this morning. We light this chalice during chaotic times. I invite you to allow its light to guide you, to bring you to a place where you feel balanced and present. Let it remind you to feel your breath, to surround yourself with things you cherish, lead you to remember one of your happiest places. Let us help you release the things that you cannot control and remember that you are not alone. Carry this light with you, not in your hands, but in your words, in your deeds, in your invitations, in your willingness to begin again. If you'd like to fill out a card or light a candle, a card for me to share with the congregation during the prayer, please do so during the centering time. Our summer artworks program for children and youth continues this morning. We're getting ready for a big puppet presentation on the 30th, so please mark your calendars. Make sure you're here for our circle service on August 30th when we're going to be sharing the story of Old Turtle, and I see Elizabeth Leonard right there has been working so hard on the puppet, so hope to see all of you on August 30th. But right now we're going to sing our kids out to their art activities. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. It is our tradition on Sunday mornings to light a candle of compassion and resistance. In this ritual, we recognize the times in which we live, times of disruption and anxiety in this country and in the world, when cruelty is on display and so many are in danger. Our values call us to compassion and resistance. As we kindle this flame, let its light inspire us to bear witness to human decency, dignity, freedom, and the power of love. And another tradition we have is on the first Sunday of the month to have an opportunity for people to light candles for their joys and sorrows and to write them down on a card for one of the ministers to share during the prayer. You can always also send us a joy or a sorrow during the week through a link on the Friday message or by calling the office or emailing one of the ministers before noon on Friday. Sharing our joys and sorrows is an important way of weaving the fabric of our community. Hearing what's going on in other people's lives can resonate for each of us and help us feel more deeply connected. So this morning, Jennifer Webb is telling us that her mother was hospitalized earlier this week with difficulty breathing due to congestive heart failure. And her condition has been declining for a while, so Jennifer headed out to be with her siblings. The news this morning that her mother is doing a little bit better, but she still asks for our healing prayers and thoughts in support of her mother and her family. Our member Pat Skeels has had a fracture in her rotator cuff and has a challenging respiratory infection, among other sources of stress. We send our love and healing wishes to Pat. Jim Wexel tells us that his best friend in his hometown lost his mother this week, a wonderful and wise elder who was always welcoming and full of great humor. He asks that we lift up Irene's spirit and send grace and healing to her family. Mary McLaughlin shares that she's having surgery tomorrow for a small kidney cancer, and she's asking for loving and healing energy sending her way. Annette Emery is also having surgery on Monday. She calls it old woman surgery and is no more specific than that. And since it's a crone service, I thought that was appropriate to share. We send our love and care to both Mary and Annette for successful surgery outcomes. Renee Scott Feminella is asking for prayers for her spouse, Ted, who's struggling with extreme fatigue from uncertain causes. But at the same time, Ted has photographs at a local gallery show, which is closing this Saturday. We send congratulations to Ted and prayers for his renewed strength. And on the cards this morning, Meg Burnett is sharing joy and gratitude for this caring community showing up for her after her injury, and she is celebrating walking. Amazing recovery, Meg. One among us wants to share the joy. It says, I like turtles. This is not from a child. Sandra T. is grateful for her health and grateful to be here. Catherine Sharp is sharing that they turned 24 on July 28th. Yay! Happy birthday. Kate Luby is asking for prayers for Kate's family member who suffered multiple strokes and is in the hospital in Mountain View. Susan is sharing a joy for the poems that Jan read this morning at the Labyrinth Walk. And another among us is offering this wisdom: let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So we have a time of prayer every Sunday, and I'm sure each of you has a different idea of the meaning of prayer. I know Roger has preached on prayer in the past, and I'd love for him to share his thoughts on that again, because prayer is actually quite much more variable, and there's much more variety of prayer than many people think. And as I get older, prayer has become for me simply sitting in the presence of something greater than myself, whether that's the sense of the interconnected web or the Mother Nature, or for some of you, that may have the name of God. This morning, I want to offer some words. I know some people have a practice of singing a favorite hymn in their head as a form of prayer. Some people do that with Spirit of Life. And we have another beloved hymn, Blessed Spirit of My Life. I want to offer this up this morning. I'm going to read the words, and then we'll take a minute of silence. Arena will play it through, and then we'll sing it together. But I want to offer this up as a prayer that you may, a hymn that you may want to consider integrating into your prayer practice. So these are the words to the hymn, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion. Be the source of my intuition. Then, when life is done for me, let love be my legacy. Let's sit in silence for a minute with the prayers on our own hearts. Blessed be. Before I begin with the introduction to our theme, I want to remind you that this afternoon is our memorial service for Fran Clark at 2 o'clock. Fran was a member of our congregation for 48 years. So I have a tradition on the Sunday of family camp where I offer a service about some component of aging. And this year we are exploring the wisdom of the crone. So one of the affinity groups in our congregation is the Crone Connection. The group was started by Marla Jensen after the first women's retreat in 2023, where we celebrated women's wisdom. At that retreat, we had a croning ceremony where we honored the beauty and the wisdom of the elder women among us. Now, I have to say, calling this group the Crone Connection is not a particularly great marketing tool. Many women are put off by the idea of being called a crone. It makes them think of that haggard old witch, stooped and withered. I'm sure you have a picture in your mind. However, the group is thriving as elders come together to celebrate this powerful phase of life. The idea of the crone as a term for elderly women is a reclaiming that came out of feminist neo-pagan contexts in the 80s and the 90s. The title representing a revered elder embodying wisdom, maturity, and the third stage of life, after the stages of maiden and mother, the three faces of the goddess, maiden, mother, and crone. Indigenous cultures, including those in pre-Christian Europe, often revered elder women. She was considered the creator spirit of all life. Spider, grandmother, and sky women are examples of, in indigenous culture, of myths about the creation of the earth. These crones were seen as sources of wisdom and represented the boundary between life and death. So maybe that's why in our modern culture, elderly women are invisible. We don't want to think about the inevitability of death, the inevitability of aging. We're a youth culture and are encouraged to do whatever we can to minimize aging and strive to be as youthful as possible. Today, you're going to hear from 4 women that are part of the Crone Connection. These women have all had croning ceremonies and have claimed their third stage in a powerful way. I challenge them with the following questions. What does it mean to take on the crone identity? What is challenging about your age? What is positive, liberating, or affirming? And what advice would you give your younger self? What do you wish you know then than you know now? Good.
Good morning. My name is Christy Brazil. When I was having dinner with my best friend from high school in the year we both turned 65, we started laughing about how much deep thinking we had done at age 15. We were full of teenage angst, dramatic sighs, heartfelt introspection, and the absolute certainty that nobody ever felt feelings as deeply as we did. And yet, with all that emotional intensity, we never took time to imagine ourselves 50 years later as elders. If I could give my younger self advice, I might suggest giving a second thought to the choices that tiptoe around danger to life and limb. At 29, I was in a near-fatal motorcycle accident, and the collateral damage still affects my physical comfort and mobility today. If I had known the consequences, I might have chosen differently, but then again, perhaps not. Young people are remarkably resistant to warnings from the future, especially when the future is, well, wearing sensible shoes and saying, you might want to reconsider that. I've never been uncomfortable declaring my age, and for the record, I'm 74 years on this earth. And I believe I've earned every one of them, including the ones that require stretching before getting out of a chair. That acceptance, more than the number itself, might be what made the Crone connection feel so immediately right to me. When I learned of our church group of women who proclaimed themselves the Crone Connection, I was immediately intrigued. Our loosely defined mission to explore and celebrate our strengths and wisdom while building connections was a perfect fit for me. There was no shame, no guilt, no need to apologize for being old. Our croning ceremony last fall affirmed our wisdom, beauty, and experience as elders in this earthly community. It was meaningful and moving, and invited us all to lovingly embrace our passage. In many ways, that passage already had a shape for me, a winding path full of turns that I'd been learning to trust for years. To many, I'm known as the Labyrinth Lady, and that title is appreciated and accurate. Long before retirement, I had decided that sharing the meaning and beauty of labyrinths would become my retirement avocation. That transition was natural because it supports my passion. And honestly, the Labyrinth Lady sounds so much more interesting than woman who finally has time to clean out her closets. The labyrinth reminds me that life is a path only I can walk, with twists and turns that may not make sense in the moment, but still belong to the journey. Some of those turns, however, have been, well, less poetic than practical. The betrayal of my aging body has been the hardest part of maturing. Responsible caretaking of my body's systems most of my life was no guarantee to avoid its slow breakdown. The nightly routine for going to bed used to mean brushing my teeth and slipping under the covers. Now there are potions and applications and drops and medications and appliances that all must be engaged. In the morning, it starts all over with stretching and heating pads and medications and, well, fiber additions to my morning brew to keep the trains running on time. Thank goodness for the fall prevention classes at the YMCA, because without recognizing it, my balance became compromised over time. Our instructor frequently suggests at the beginning of the class to pay attention to the twinges in our hinges and the issues in our tissues as we go through the class, and that about says it all, don't you think? The body, I've learned, does not age according to a syllabus. It offers surprises, revisions, pop quizzes, even without warning. Every time I go to the doctor, someone seems ready to hand me a pamphlet of my latest health challenge. Really? A pamphlet? One day they're going to give me a tote to carry them all. At this point in my life, I recall the lyrics of the movie Yentl. The more I live, the more I learn. The more I learn, the more I realize, the less I know. It feels honest and humbling. It's also a relief, because not knowing everything is wisdom, I must be approaching genius. For me, the wisdom of being a crone means I'm still teachable, still curious, still open to loving and being loved. And I'm still learning lessons. Aging has not made me finished. It has made me more aware that every stage of life offers another turn in the labyrinth, another invitation to listen, grow, and walk the path with courage, grace, well, and whenever possible, comfortable shoes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ellen Schaefer. I am 70 years old, and last November was officially croned in Reverend Lucy's croning ceremony. I'll be honest, I didn't love the term crone at first, picturing that ugly, bad-tempered old woman, but in our circle at UUSS, crone is reframed to focus on celebrating the wisdom of older women. Aging has its challenges. We have more aches and pains, less physical endurance, more losses of loved ones, and sometimes we feel invisible. But being in community with other crones, I feel seen and heard for what I am, a wise woman with experience to share. Plus, we laugh a lot in the crone group. Life has many chapters. I had a challenging childhood with a mentally ill mother who died when I was a teen. I was a weird combination of overly responsible, taking care of my younger sister, and being a reckless teenager. I survived those chapters and built a life for myself. I found a career and my life partner, raised 2 daughters, and am now enjoying 4 delightful grandchildren. I'm grateful for all the living that gave me these wrinkles and this gray hair. They are evidence of life advancing. I embrace the freedom this new stage of life offers. After years of prioritizing the needs of my children and my business clients, now it's my turn. It's my turn to savor more me time, reading a book all afternoon in the yard, or going on a long hike on a weekday. Every day above ground is a day to treasure. I'm eager to author this next chapter, remaining curious about the world and new possibilities. I choose to show up as my best self, spreading kindness and service where I'm able, here at church, in the bookstore, come visit us, and with Soul Matters, or trying to save democracy with States Win. I am ready now to be at peace with who I am and who I am not. I once did a 2-step reflection exercise called Orphan Rescue. In step 1, I imagined my ideal future self at 80 years old. I loved visualizing myself as a joyful, confident, grounded, thriving being, both perky and serene. In step 2, I was invited to send my future evolved self back in time to rescue the younger parts of me in my difficult years and offer advice from my grown perspective. So if I could go back, this is what I would tell my sensitive, angsty teen self, so deeply worried about her future. You are gonna be okay. You will grow up, you will get through it, you will figure out a way to be. You are not stuck, you have options. It's okay to speak up. Take one day at a time, and I promise you life can be better. Follow your happy feet, and as we say here in church, or sing here in church, put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And someday, you'll be a 70-year-old crone, grateful for life's journey and eager to savor the next steps of your path.
Morning. I'm Kim Fuller. When Reverend Lucy asked me to reflect on my crone identity, I thought, am I a crone? Crones are wise older women. Well, I'm certainly an older woman. Am I wise? I think there's a difference between being smart and being wise. Being smart has to do with being able to learn things, remember things, solve problems. But being wise is more about being discerning, how you use your smarts, and acting in ways that align with your values. So I think I've always been pretty smart, but I certainly have not been wise. In my teens, 20s, 30s, and even beyond, I just kind of barreled along doing things without thinking much about why or what was important. And like Christy, while I don't regret the choices I made when I was younger, I am grateful that I survived them. In recent years, though, the past 5 or 6 years especially, as I've developed a consistent meditation practice, I've become much more aware of what my values are, what my intentions are, and how I want to be using my skills, talents, resources. One thing I've learned about myself is that the quality of my life overall is very dependent on the quality of my relationships. And so once I had that phrase in my mind, the quality of my life depends on the quality of my relationships. It became obvious that where I want to put my energy and attention is into building relationships with people who are beneficial to me, whose values align with mine. And that's why you find me here at the UU most Sundays. Our congregation is full of people who are wise, funny, active, and who really put their money where their mouth is and their talents where their mouth is in terms of actively pursuing things that are important. You guys are exactly the kind of people I want in my life, and I appreciate you all. I've learned that the way to really nurture relationships here is to participate in the small groups. And I've been involved in a number of them. I see some of my cronies from the Crone Connection in the audience and people I know from Soul Matters. I've made some good friends that way and met a bunch of other people who I'd like to know better. As I think Christy said, in the Crone Connection in particular, we've grown so much we're not a small group anymore. We're kind of a big group. But we still break up into smaller groups and can talk more deeply. And we do laugh a lot. And laughing together is such a great way to feel connected. But that phrase, that thought in my mind, the quality of my life depends on the quality of my relationships. That's been especially helpful in navigating some of my more difficult relationships. I have a number of people in my family who are pretty conservative politically and socially. I don't agree with them about a lot of things, and yet these are not relationships that I really want to avoid or to allow them to fade out. My husband's brothers in particular, his older brother and his brother's wife live in Australia, and my husband Peter and I have regular Zoom calls with his brother and sister-in-law, Simon and Vivian. Simon views progressive ideas and my ideas as being illogical and overly emotional. I view a lot of his ideas as being inhumane at best and cruel at worst. We've had conversations in these Zoom calls where we've really argued with each other about ideology and politics. And that doesn't go anywhere. Nobody persuades anybody to think differently, and it's pretty damaging to our relationships with each other. We've had other calls where we just avoid the topics altogether, where we just talk about our travels and our animals and the indignities of aging bodies. And that's better, and sharing a laugh is good for feeling closer to people. But it's pretty limited because we're all invested in our political and ideological ideas. So I think the four of us all four of us have really been making more of an effort to listen more deeply to each other without trying to persuade each other to think differently. For myself, I've been trying to cultivate an attitude of curiosity. How is it that these intelligent, principled people have landed in such a different place from me? And that's been really, actually great. I think I've developed much more empathy for Simon and Viv, much more of an understanding of how their life experiences and where they live have influenced their ideas and their beliefs. And actually more of an understanding of how my history and where I live influence my beliefs and my ideology. So I think all of that is a kind of wisdom. So I have acquired some wisdom. And I am an older woman. Wise older woman. I guess I'm a crone. I'm glad to be. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Theodora Wilner. I'm going to read something that I wrote for myself on my 70th birthday, and I've updated it often now, and it's my 76th year. I spent a lot of time recrafting it, which just shows that aging is not a static thing. It's entitled, "Don't Tell Me I'm Not Old." A cornerstone of my aging practice is to choose what brings me joy and avoid what doesn't. Not easy when you're having to spend your life doing things like pay bills and fix car problems. For me, it's even harder. No, I guess for all of us, it's hard when I have to address my neuroses, one of which is a antipathy against high-density social events. Now, I'll muster up the courage and say to whoever invites me, "No, thank you. I'm getting too old for such things." Horrified that I should utter such a limiting belief, they'll say, "You're only as old as you feel." I feel old, I tell them, with pride and certainty. Age is just a state of mind, they'll persist, like I am caving into some state of incompetence or incontinence. When I say I'm old, I say it with delight. It took me a long time to reach this state of surrender, this place of being okay with who I am as I am. My age is my badge of courage for many busy years well lived. When I let my hair go gray during COVID, my sister-in-law said to me, "You look older." I said, "I am older." She could not see how comfortable I'd become with my unruly hair, which just requires a little fluff and shake now and then. How do I look? Plus, now liberated from the time and toxins and expense of salons, I can now spend more time in nature's splendor, mentoring, writing, and loving on my grandkids. Now I get to hasten a little more slowly, rest, reflect, and sometimes inspire. I get to forget the makeup and remember the soul, to choose my friends and forgive the others. The best part of being old, the very best part, is that I did not die young. I hope to be old for many more years, taking every breath as if it were my first, and living every day as if it were my last. I'm old. Please don't tell me I'm not.
Generosity is a spiritual practice, which is why this congregation has a practice of giving away half of every Sunday's offering to an organization working to make a difference in the world. This month, our community partner is Loaves and Fishes, Sacramento's largest provider of services for the unhoused. For over 40 years, Loaves and Fishes has provided warm meals, essential survival supplies, and services to roughly 1,000 adults and children each day. And you are invited to participate in supporting Loaves and Fishes Mustard Seed School with back-to-school supplies, such as sturdy backpacks, pens, pencils, binders, Crayola, crayons, etc. You can bring donations to the Welcome Hall every Sunday in August or to the office through Friday, August 28th. And today, we have two representatives from the Mustard Seed School who will be on the patio and are happy to tell you more about Mustard Seed School. To keep their services barrier-free, Loaves and Fishes does not use government funds, and they are instead fully supported by donations like those coming from us. Thank you for your generosity, both to UUSS and our community partner. This morning's offering will now be given and received. As the ushers come forward, please join me in blessing the offering. May generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
When I was growing up, I did not have any positive elder role models. My grandmother was very old school Italian with long hair in a tight bun at her neck. She didn't drive. She was a homemaker. She lived a very limited life. I loved her dearly, but she made old age seem like something that really wasn't very fun. It was when I came to Unitarian Universalism that I first met fabulous older women. I would attend UU retreats of congregations all around the district, and I was astounded by how fabulously unelderly these women acted, at least according to my idea of what it meant. It was a revelation. I mean, these women were silly and fabulous. It opened my eyes to a new way of seeing old age. I am now the age that those women were when I went to those retreats, and I am proud to say that I act exactly like they did. So I've explored the crone phase of life and offered croning in ceremonies for UUSS women. And at these ceremonies, I ask them to take the crone phase seriously. For when a woman enters this third phase of life, she takes on special qualities. The first quality is wisdom. Older women are the keepers of the wisdom and traditions in their families, clans, tribes, and communities. The second quality is freedom. When a woman leaves the mothering phase of life and enters crone consciousness, she takes on a new sense of freedom. She has paid her dues as an organizer, mother, therapist, healer, counselor, cook. The list is long. And though she may continue in these roles, she does so in a different way, with more detachment, with more freedom for herself. The third quality is creativity. As a result of this freedom, there's a lot of creativity unleashed, a sense of wildness and release. Things which seemed prohibited before now seem possible. The fourth quality is power. The wisdom, freedom, wildness, and self-expression can only lead to a sense of power, resulting from being true to oneself and one's own powerful essence. Power to pursue any avenue in life, even for doors that seemed closed before. Powers to set boundaries and say no when you choose. So let's face it, people, crones are badass. In our croning ceremonies here, the participating women must pass through gates, literally a place where they're asked to take a vow to be able to go forward. And at each gate, they must give up something in order to take on the power of the crone. At the first gate, they must lay down their youth and accept their bodies as they are now and as they will be. At the second gate, they must lay down their insecurities and fears of self-worth. They must vow to honor and love the person they are now, to commit themselves to self-care and attention, to embrace themselves fully and intentionally so that they can now be an inspiration to others. The third gate is the hardest one. They must accept the uncertainty of life and the certainty of death. Death and loss have always been present, but now they must accept the certainty of their own death. This is a source of power for the crone, looking death squarely in the face. But it's also a source of freedom, for with the certainty of endings, life becomes more precious and your focus becomes clearer. The croning ceremony launches a time where a woman asks herself, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And she can live into that question with wisdom, power, freedom, and creativity. Croning is a threshold that a woman must choose to cross. The questions at the gate are challenging. In the book Haggitude, great name, by Sharon Blackie, she shares a Croatian story about a crone taking on her power. She's an old woman whose son has been taken in by an enchantress, and he brings her home, and this enchantress sets out to make the old woman miserable, forces her to do things, keeps her working all the time, takes away the things she loves. When she can finally bear it no longer, the old woman leaves her home in search of health, and makes her way into the forest, where, as these things often go in stories, she finds the forest king, and he gives her a choice. She can go back to the happiest time of her life and stay there, but she would lose all the memories of what had happened since, including the memory of her son and of her deceased husband. He shows her an image of that time when she was most happiest, and she looks wistfully into the past. She contemplates this choice and says, no, I can't forget my past. I can't forget my life. All the things that happened to me have made me who I am today. I will return home. And with that decision, the enchantment is lifted and her son is freed from the spell. He marries a lovely village woman, and they all live happily ever after. So the old woman, in accepting the reality of her age, in deciding to retain the gifts of her long life and refusing to live in the past, breaks the enchantment. In making that choice, she displays the true wisdom of the crone and takes her place among the wise elders. So may it be for all of us in our own time. Blessed be. So life calls us on. Let's all rise and sing together.
As we extinguish our flames, please join me in speaking our shared intention. May the power of this gathering light our way forward with courage. In the days to come, let us remember that fear is outworked by hope and that hatred is no match for the power of love.
Let's reach out our hands, reach out to those at home, reach out to each other, to our community and our world. Remember, there are crones among us. They are beautiful and they are wise. Let them glow, learn from their wisdom, learn a path, because you will get there one day if you're lucky. Amen.